Kadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi, Shavua Tov, Daf Yomi, Masechet, Zevachim, Daf Yudaled Amud Aleph 14a1, says the Gemara. We were just talking about the concept of if it's going to be according to Rabbi Shimon. Why do we say that it has to be Davka Tvilat Etzba, that he's dipping his finger in the blood and then sprinkling it? Ha'amar kol she'eno al mizbeach hachitzon kishlamim, emo mishum pigul. If it's not going to be on the mizbeach hachitzon like a shlamim, there's not going to be a problem of pigul. But rather, the Gemara answers, Have Rabbanan v'lakashia, it's not a question. Right? Kan b'chataot hachitzoniot, v'kan b'chataot pnimiot. You guys remember that we made a differentiation between the inner chataot and outer chataot. The inner chatat are the chatats that are brought inside of the Hechal. That one has to be sprinkled on the four corners. Be'arba karnotav, on the four corners of the mizbeach. The inner chatat. There's inner chatat. No, so again, there's different chatat. There's a chatat which is going to be chatat pnimit and chatat chitzonit. So the chatat which are done on the inside, right, is going to be done what? That's going to be done on the four corners, and that needs the etzba. The ones which are done on the outside, that is not going to be done with the finger. That's going to be done right on the two corners becoming four. Okay, that's called the chataut chitzonit. Okay, now the Gemara says chataut chitzoniot pshita, obviously, right? It's not written v'taval. When it says v'taval, it means you have to dip. What are you dipping? You're dipping your finger and doing like tevilah. What is tevilah? You're dipping, right? Tevilat kelim. You're dipping the utensil. Tevilah v'ben adam. A person's doing tevilah. What's tevilah? You're dipping. So it doesn't say v'taval. If it doesn't say v'taval, it means that the finger is not going in and it's not dipping anything. So obviously, the outer one is not going to be with the finger. So it answers the Gemara, Itzich, you needed it. I would have thought to say, Hol v'ktiv, since it's written v'lakacha kwen from the dama chatab etzbo v'natan. So I would have thought v'yati kof rami lehu aide, that if what happens right now if a kof came and he put it, he took from the dam al yada kwen. So by lamishka zunachrite. So he has to take the dam another time as well, in order that it should be on the finger, right? Meaning when it says v'lakach, it's taking of the blood, it also means that it has to be mamash on etzbao. Keman dichti v'taval dam, so it's like it's written v'taval. Kamashmalan comes teach you lachid ktiv, that's why it's not written v'taval, temashmachi or mashmachi, which means that it could be either one. It means it says v'lakach, and it says v'etzbao, so it's mashma you have to take from the finger. Mitzad sheni, the fact that it didn't say v'taval, so therefore, it's not going to help the concept of pigul by it. So pigul does not make it pigul. Okay? Fine. We're on the two dots. Okay, this is where we're really starting for today. Okay? Fine. Rabbi Shimon Machshir. You guys remember we said that according to Shtat Rabbi Shimon, when you have a korban which was done shelo lishma, to do with the hiluch, with the walking, the transporting of it, of the blood, so it's going to be kosher. Okay? Yeah, you're looking it up, yeah? So he says like this. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Says Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Modeh Rabbi Shimon beolachat chataot upnimiyot shemachshava poselet behu, hol va'avado Hashem yechol vatla. Says Rabbi Shimon is going to admit that there is going to be one korban that holacha. Remember, holacha is transporting, like holech, right? Vayelech, right? You're transporting. You're going in a certain direction. Right? So he says, Olachat chataot pnimiyot, it does disqualify it. Why? But since it's an avodah which you cannot be mevatel, which means, you remember, what was the reasoning of Rabbi Shimon that he says that holachat does not need to be lishma? Why?
Because you could pour the blood right there without having to convey it.
Why? How? How do you pour the blood right there? Because where did you do the shchita?
Right there.
Right there. That's why. When you're doing it inside the Hechal, it doesn't exist. Because you can't do the shchita inside of the Hechal. The shchita has to be outside of the Hechal. So therefore, it does not exist bypassing the holacha when you have to do a chatata pnimit. Anything has to do with, meaning all the slaughtering had to be done outside of the Hechal. So since the slaughtering has to be outside of the Hechal, you cannot be mevatel.
The courtyard?
The Hechal is the building. I have pictures. I still have pictures. You remember the pictures of the Bet HaMikdash? Yes. Where's the menorah? Where's the shulchan? The inner building. I don't have a picture of the Bet HaMikdash. I don't know where this. Okay, but we had a picture of the Bet HaMikdash. You know what I'm referring to? In the Bet HaMikdash, you had the courtyard, you had the outer courtyard, right?
That's
Then
where the slaughter being done.
right? No. So okay, yes, you went to the inner. Put it like this: you've got an outer quarter, you've got an outer courtyard. That outer courtyard is for everybody to be there. Okay, you've got Azarat Nashim, everything there. You've got then an inner courtyard. In the inner courtyard, you've got until the Azarat Kohanim, you've got the Azarat Yisrael until a certain point. And then in that outer courtyard, you've got the big, huge Mizbeach. And then you have the places where they slaughter, right? And then when you continue, there's a building. That building is called the Hechal. The beginning part of the building, you have an ulam. An ulam is like, you know, like you have a picture. I didn't realize. You have a picture. What are you asking me questions?
No, where'd you get that picture? Let me see.
It's in Art Scroll. You have it there in your footnote. Go to the next footnote. You have it or not? There's no footnotes in the footnotes.
I mean, it says see footnotes, but I don't see any diagrams.
There's no diagrams in the footnotes? I've got diagrams.
You got a diagram?
I've got diagrams. He's got diagrams.
No number.
What footnote number? יש לך בעברית או באנגלית? בעברית. Okay, so it's going to be the same name. I don't know. Look at 19. 19, 20.
Way ahead. No?
No diagrams.
1 second. Wasn't that far down.
Towards the middle of the page, or the end of the page.
There it is, a little something. That's far. This thing here?
Yes. There you go. And you got another one also. Continue. There's another one. I don't know if it's before or afterwards, but there's another one as well. Okay, which means, right, the ulam. The ulam is like the outer chamber, right? It's like an ulam is going into the inside. Then you have the Hechal. In the Hechal, the first half of the Hechal, you've got the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the inner Mizbeach, the Shulchan and the Menorah, the table where they put the Lechem HaPanim, the breads, and the Menorah, right, where they light the Chanukiah. And then further inside the Hechal, you have the Kodesh HaKodashim.
Put it down.
Oh. So ask the Gemara, ואמר רבי שמעון, says רבי שמעון, כל שאינו על המזבח החיצון בשלמים, אין חייבים עליו משום פיגול. He says, any korban which is not going to be brought on the mizbeach hachitzon like a shlamim, you're not going to be chayav because of a pigul. So Amar Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, says Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, he comes and he answers, modeh haya lifsol, right? He's going to be modeh in a case of lifsol mikal v'chomer. ומה שלא לשמן שהוכשרו בשלמים פסול בחטאות, חוץ לזמנו שפוסל בשלמים, אין עוד דין שיפסול בחטאות? So he comes and he says, I don't understand. He comes and he says like this. He says, if it's going to be, right, one more time, what are we trying to say here? Right? We're trying to say like this. Even though Rabbi Shimon says that when you have a machshava chutz zmana, it does not help for the chataot of primiyot to make a pigul, to obligate karet, right? He says he's going to be modeh that it's still pasul. Meaning, it's not going to make it karet. Remember, what is pigul? Pigul is outside of the proper time, not place. Remember, pigul is always time. So if you're going to come and you're going to eat it at the wrong time or bring it at the wrong time and so on, that's called pigul. Okay? So, which one? What do you mean by machshava? Exactly. No, not lalishma. But because lalishma, we said the only thing which is, and it doesn't make it pigul. That's only going to be by a chatat and a pesach that becomes disqualified. But it's not pigul. It's posel. Which one? We said one more time. Chatat and pesach are the only ones that if you did it shelo lishma, that it's going to become disqualified. Which one? No, nothing to do with it. No. Which one? Yes, exactly. The Hasham as well. Okay. So now he comes and he says like this. He says, right, in this case, it's still going to be pasul from a kal v'chomer. ומה שלא לשמן שהוכשרו בשלמים פסול בחטאות, חוץ זמנו שפסול בשלמים דין שיפסול בחטאות. So he comes and he says, ואשכחן, now we're going to see that we're going to find the חוץ זמנו. Chutz linkomo menalan. How do we know outside of the proper place is also going to be a problem of posel? So says the Gemara, chutz zmano, ma lechutz zmano sheken karet, right? Ima shelo lishma sheken bebaba. What does that mean like this? You have a case of chutz zmano. Chutz Zmano is going to be posel, even according to Rabbi Shimon. Right? How do you know about Chutz Zimkomo that it's going to be posel? Remember, Chutz Zmano means outside of the proper time. Chutz Zimkomo means outside of the proper place. So what happens if I start doing the shchita on an animal, and I'm having in mind that I'm going to be bringing it on a private barbecue in my backyard? I mean, not on the Mizbeach, inside the Bet HaMikdash. I'm doing it outside of the proper place. It's called Chutz Limkomo. Makom is a place. Zman is a time. Chutz Zmano is usually pigul. Here, it's not going to be pigul because we just said over here that it's not going to make it pigul, but it's still going to become pasul. Pasul disqualifies something,
No karet.
but there's no karet involved. Pigul makes something karet. There's a big difference.
The time it's pigul.
Yes.
Place
is not pigul. But even in this case, he was moded that it's not going to be pigul, but it's still going to be pasul. Pasul just means that it becomes disqualified. Okay?
I think you can still eat the meat, but you don't get a kapara for it, whatever.
Yeah, not only that, it's just that you're not supposed to. Right? The only thing is you don't get karet for eating the meat. Okay? That's what he says over here. Right? It does not become a karet for eating the meat. You're not supposed to eat it, but I'm saying you don't get karet if you did eat it. Okay? So says the Gemara, Shelo lishman b'maynohem. He said, which korbanot do we find that it's going to be a psul because of machshava shelo lishma? Bepesach vechatat, by Pesach and chatat. Pesach vechatat bebama lo karvu. He comes and he says like this, by Pesach and chatat, right? He says, in a bama they didn't, right? Lo karvu, they didn't bring it. So what are you talking about then? Why it was not permitted to bring on a bamot yachid? Right? The only thing that you could bring on a bamot yachid was a neder or nedava, like ulotu shlamim. But a pesach and a chatat, anyway, can't come as a neder and nedava. So it comes out that this entire thing cannot happen because you'll never have a case of a bamat yachid. A bama is a private barbecue. A private barbecue, even when it was permitted, because once the Bet HaMikdash was in, that's it. But even when it was permitted to use these private barbecues, it was only going to be for a neder or nedava, for any type of a present. Right? It was never going to be not for communal offerings or anything. So chatat and the Pesach. No. Once you have the Bet HaMikdash, it doesn't work anymore. Right? But which one? Yeah. When they used to use which one? No, Kohen does not have to do shchita. What are you talking about? They had I don't understand mishkans. They had mishkans. So when there was a time of mishkans, they had private barbecues. They had bamot, bama. That was 480 years. That was longer than what we had the Bet HaMikdash for. Not only Shiloh, we had Giva, we had a whole bunch of Mishkans, of course. We had Nov, we had a whole bunch. What happens is here it says the Mishkan was 14 years in the Gilgal, 369 years in Shiloh, 13 years in Nov, 44 years in Givon, and then you had the Bet HaMikdash. So that was the total, right, of the 480 years that we had, right, of Mishkan. 480.
Yeah, before they built but sorry, I missed something.
The Gemara. By Tema, if you could answer Hekeshahu. It's a Hekesh. People like to do Hekesh a lot. Right? It says Yom HaShlishi ze chutz lizmano. Pigul yeh ze chutz imkomo. They basically wanted to say that if it says you'd say that you're going to eat the meat on the third day, so it's not going to be good, and if you bring it, it's going to be considered like pigul. So they wanted to say that when it says by Yom HaShlishi, it's already outside of the proper time. Pigul yeh is outside of the proper place. So therefore, it's going to also make it, right, pasul, meaning even though it's not going to be pigul, but it's going to make it pasul, disqualified, if it's outside of the proper place. That's where they learn it from. Okay? Says the Gemara, Amar Rava comes and he says, Im Tim Salomar, if you're going to tell me now, right, Rabbi Shimon Savar Le Kibrei, the Rabbi Shimon holds like his son, the son of Rabbi Lazar. The Amar Ben HaOlam LeMizbeach v'Tzafon, that between the Ulam and the Mizbeach is going to be considered the north. En machshava muelet beholachat chataot primiyot mipetach ulam velifnim. So it's not going to help, right, for the chataot primiyot from the petach haulam and on inwards. Right? That means basically until they get to the Petach HaUlam. Why? Because you could do the Shchita by the entrance of the Ulam. Right? And then, right, you have to take it in. Meaning like this. Where can you come and you could do the Shchita? So he wants to say that I could do, you have a picture there on the bottom. So he wants to say, I could do the Shchita mamash at the entrance of the Ulam. As long as it's still in the north part, I could do it at the entrance of the ulam. Now, if I do it in the entrance of the ulam, so therefore there's not going to be the machshava disqualifying from there until the entrance of the ulam. In the ulam itself, in onwards, yes, because I can't bypass the holacha. But until there, I could bypass the holacha. So maybe be'emet, there shouldn't be a problem. Now, if you're going to tell me, Savala Rabbi Yehuda Damar, the Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, that he says, Toch Ezra Mekadesh, that the Rispat Azara is going to be Mekadesh, right? Emach Shava Moele B'Holacha Siluk Bazichin, Ela Ben Petach HaEchad V'Lachutz. V'im Timtzomar, now if you're going to tell me, Savar, Kiddushat Echad V'Ulam Chadahi, that it's the same Kiddusha, Emach Shava Moele, Ela Min Petach HaOla V'Lachutz. Ve'od Timtzomar, V'im Timtzomar, now if you're going to tell me, Toch HaPetach Lifnim, that it's considered on the inside, so Emach Shava Moele, Tafilu Psiya Achat, so therefore, even if it's going to be just one psiya, which means one step, right? That you're just passing something, as if to say, it's going to be the same thing. Okay. V'imtim Solomar. Now, if you're going to tell me, right, savar or lacha shelo beregel, that you only did it by hand, lo shma lacha, it's not considered halacha, and machshava omelet klal, so therefore it doesn't help at all. Right, because again, there's nothing to do with here to do with the holacha, right? Because you can't even tell it at all. So Elmaleh Abai lemored Rav Chasta, ba minu Rav Chasta holacha bezar ma'u. What's holacha by azar? Yeah, everyone understood the question. We already told you that shchita could be done by a stranger. Azar is a stranger. What about holacha? Can holacha? So let's see. So Elmaleh kshira, it's kosher. So he says, "Umikam," I've got a pasuk. וישחטו את הפסח ויזרקו הכהנים מידם והלוויים מפשיטים. He says here it's mashma וישחטו ויזרקו הכהנים מידם. So it's mashma the kohanim were the ones that are doing zrikat adam, but they took it from the shochatim. Now who's the shochet? Anybody. So therefore it comes out that the kohen, right?
But we know the law is not like that.
Exactly. Right. So Mati Rav Sheshat. So Rav Sheshat comes in the following question: Zar ve'onen. What happens if you have a zar and a Kohen Onen? Not Kohen Ronen, Kohen Onen. Yeah, so he comes and he says, right, Yudaladim Bet, 14b. And he says, Shikor, or a Shikor, or Balmum, right, the Kabbalah, or Balacha, or Bizrika. So it's going to be Pasul. Yeah? V'chen HaYoshev, v'chen small. So that means even if you're going to do it with sitting down or on the left hand, it's all going to be pasul. Yeah, this. Which one?
He just bombed him.
No, he just asked the question against him. He just told him that anything that's going to be done with a zar is a problem. Meaning a zar or kohen onen or shikor or balmum, or it's all pasul. So you see from here, holacha is pasul by a non-kohen. So answers the Gemara Tufta, you're right. It's a bomb. Yeah, he's got a bomb. Yeah, Evanta the bomba. Bomba. So ask the Gemara, yeah, but Harav Chasaka kama, but he brought a pasuk. Saying, you're bringing me a braita, kol kavod. I've got a pasuk. If you have a pasuk, what's stronger? Yoter chazak a pasuk. Yeah, Bereshit, zachi chazak. So he says, the avid ma'aseh itztaba. Yeah, he comes and he says that he made an itztaba. Ma kavana? Yeah, he comes and he says, Asa shochet ma'aseh amud. Yeah, klomar, shaya omed bimkomo. Ve'ochez v'mizrach. That means he was standing in his place.
What did he do then? What did the non-Kohen do?
What does that mean? He wasn't taking it to the Mizbeach at all.
Kohen received the blood, put it in the hand of a non-Kohen, held it until the Kohen took it for him and made it to the altar. So he was just like there as a chain, but he didn't go anywhere.
Exactly, he didn't go anywhere. Rabbi Yosef Damnu Tavayu. So Rabbi Yosef both said, Holacha bezar machloket Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. You're right. Holacha bezar is actually a machloket Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. Rabbi Shimon Damar Avodah Shefshal Vatala Avodah Hida. So if you could be mvatel, it's not considered avodah. Kshira bezar, it's going to be kosher with zar. But according to the Rabbanan, it's going to be pesula. Meaning it comes out that it's actually a machloket, because if you could annul it or bypass it, that's what we were talking about. So therefore what? So therefore even a zar could do it. Okay? So Amalu Abaye, it says Abaye, Vashchita. You have shchita. The avodah she'ev shal levatala k'shel bazar, right? You have that it's going to be avodah she'ev shal levatala, and it is kosher bazar. So how do you tell me that if it's ev shal levatala, now you need a kohen? We know that shchita you're allowed to. So answers the Gemara, Amrulei, Shchita is not considered an avodah. Shchita is not an avodah. Shchita is, no, but that was the question. The question is, why do you say anybody could do it if you could not annul it, so then you need a Kohen? So answers the Gemara, it's not an avodah. Yes, it's not an avodah. So says the Gemara, Villa, you're going to tell me no? Amar Bizera says Bizera in the name of Rab. Shchitat para bizar psula. You take the par and you do the shchita bizar, it's going to be pasul. Rav says Elazar chukakti by it's written there that has to be the Elazar Kohen. So answers the Gemara, Shane para duma is different. Why is para duma different? The kochebe the kabaiti. This is a special halacha. Right? The para duma is a special halacha. You can't compare the para duma to anything else. So he says, Velav kol tekenu. He said, what? It's not a kol sheken. He says, Koche b'dekabayit avi avodah. It's an avodah. Koche mizbeach lav avodah. So Amar of Shisha b'red Ravidi, he says of Shisha b'red Ravidi, Nidra hava, it's like a marot negaim. It's like marot negaim. The lav avodah, it's not an avodah. To check out negaim, a nega. You know what nega is? Blemish. Right? He says, right, the leprosy. He says, is that, but it's not an avodah. But what do you need? You need a kohen? So he says, what about taking the limbs to the mizbeach, to the kevesh? And that it is an avodah shev shalabatlai, right? And it's going to be psula bezar. That
the taking the limbs to the ramp is an avodah that a kohen is to do.
Yeah, but no, but he says that you could annul it though. You could annul it. Why can you annul it? That you're not going to bring it. What happens if you didn't bring it at all? But it's still pasul for a zar. Exactly, that's what it means. It's not makif. But now, what do we just say? It's going to be pasul bazar. Now, why? So answers the Gemara, Hechal de gale gale, v'hechal de la gale la gale. What does that mean? Wherever it's revealed that you need a kohen, even though it's an avodah shefshal batla, right? So therefore you need a kohen. That means even though I don't even need it, it's not makif, but you still need a kohen. Why? Because the pasuk told you needed a kohen to take the limbs to the mizbeach. But if it did not redeem it, reveal it, if it did not reveal that you needed a kohen, so therefore I could have anybody that I want as long as it wasn't revealed. Not all the way inside the Hechal, but in the outer area, where the Mizbeach was. So says the Gemara, yeah. So the Gemara is going to ask.
Out in the forest, you have to do it.
Yes. So he says, Velav kol shekenu. It's a kol sheken. He says, he says, when you're going to take the limbs to the kevesh, it doesn't impede the atonement, and you still need a kohen. So lachat adam, transporting the blood that you do need it, right? Kol sheken that you need a kohen, right? He wants to say it's a kabla chomen. It's kol sheken. V'yitmar nami was also saying, no, he says you're right. According to him, even olacha is going to be pasul bezar. Even holacha, not only just Kabbalah and everything, holacha also is going to be disqualified. Okay? Ibayelu, we're going to ask the following question. Holacha shelo beregel. What happens if they do holacha without a regel? What does that mean? They come and they do like a train system. That's how you called it before, no?
Fire.
Like a fire, like bucket to bucket, hand to hand. That means nobody's actually transporting it. They're just doing the hand to hand, right? Handoffs. Shema holacha, is that considered holacha or not? So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof. He says, he said only if you're sitting or in the left hand, it's pasul. Mashma if you're standing, right? You're not allowed to do the avodah when you're sitting.
Oh, when you're standing?
Huh? When you're sitting. We said it before. We said if you're shikor, balmum, right? You probably were. The Kabbalah, olacha v'zikah v'yoshev, or small, even with the left hand.
You see? Maybe I'm shikor, but he's not shikor. Yeah, you see.
Yeah, olacha, sitting or left hand. Huh? I didn't say it. Yeah, we just said it. We did right before the tiyufta, when we said it was a bomb. Right before the words tiyufta. Go up of 3-4 lines. I know, you have too many bombs. Yeah. Yeah. So he comes and he says, tiyufta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tiyufta. Fine. So says the Gemara, Dilma Yoshev tekashayif meishaf. Maybe when it says it's Yoshev, right? It's like as if to say that he's like he's dragging himself on the ground. That he's just like resting a little bit, right? He's like moving a little bit his legs to the mizbeach. Meaning, we want to say that maybe if you're just using your hands, it's not considered holacha at all. But as long as you're moving a little bit or you're doing something, so that's considered. No, you need daled amot. Yes, but the holacha is always hiluch daled amot. Whenever you're walking, because that's hotzah. Hotzah has nothing to do with daled amot. Hotzah and achnasa is two different things. But here we're talking about hiluch daled amot. If you're walking for amot and reshut rabim, it has to be daled amot. It's always walking. Right. So the question is that considered holacha? So we're trying to say no. No. We don't have an answer yet. We're not sure. So Tashema. Now we're going to ask another question. Now we're going to try to bring another proof now. Yeah, Shachat Israel veKibel HaKohen. The Israel did the shchita. Yeah, so fine. Kibel HaKohen, the Kohen receives the blood. The Tanol HaChavro, he gives it to his friend, and his friend to his friend, his friend to his friend. So it means now it's good. So Hatam Nami, he says, no. Denied report. The Kohanim were moving their legs a little bit toward the Mizbeach. That means even though they were doing a handoff, there was a little bit of a little bit of the leg movement. So that in itself is already considered holacha. Hatanami denied report. My question: what's the chidush then? Yeah, the more Kohanim doing the service, the better that it is. Some people they're very, very Some people they're very, very greedy, so they want to do everything themselves. They don't want to give out. It's not like exclusivity, or they how it is. They like one person he wants to do the entire thing. Give things out and let people participate. Not everything for me, right? Give it out. By the way, you should know that's the biggest secret that you have to do. You make everybody feel like one. Somebody once came to me. So now it says the Gemara like this: Berova Madrat Melech means that there's much better that everybody participates. I don't want just one Kohen. I want all the Kohanim to participate. And it said everybody. So Tashema, we're going to learn now. Kibel kasher v'natan lepasul yachsil kasher. What happens now if the Kohen kasher was kibel et dam? Now he gave it to somebody pasul, so obviously he should give back to the kasher. So it means even though there was like a pasek in the middle of the holacha, you heard pasek. Yeah, even though there was a pasek in the middle of the holacha, right? It's not going to be disqualified because of it.
So if it's kosher, it's okay.
Yes, it's okay. Yes. So says the Gemara. He says, no, yes, so receive it again. So we actually going to say that if you're going to say that you're going to not move your legs, it's not considered an holacha. So can you fix it or not? So he says, yes, and then he could actually fix it. So you could fix it. So the Gemara is going to speak about how do you actually fix it.